Okay, so I'm doing a recap of my time competing at the USA Triathlon Nationals in the sprint distance event. It has been over 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks just about since I raced, and I have had some time to kind of think about my race and to think about how I've done and to think about my lead up into it, and I'm going to talk about that. But first, I shall talk about how it actually went. How was the actual race? So, I was starting in the first wave, the first heat, 20 to 29-year-old males, and it was a wetsuit. I had a wetsuit on, swim, and I've had issues with my wetsuit in the past, but it hadn't been an issue for me last time, and so I was with the wetsuit, and my first mistake was obviously in the swim. So it wasn't a super technical swim, but I hadn't swum open water in a little while, and I hadn't really practiced it in a couple months, so I was a little rusty on open water swimming, and I didn't get the best line. I didn't swim the best line, and I think I ended up probably swimming definitely at least probably anywhere from 50 to 100 meters extra than I needed to. I wasn't really sticking real close to the buoys, and that's definitely my fault. And now that I look back at it, in hindsight, it's something that definitely could have been avoided if I had done a better job at sighting. It was a little bit chaotic, but and it felt like there was a lot of people, and so I think I just got kind of really caught up in the wash of it and didn't really do a great job at sighting. And so I swam like 11 minutes and 40 seconds for 750 meters, which I really should that should be an easy swim for me. And so my only explanation to that is that I didn't swim a good line. And it's really too bad because I don't feel like I'm really great at swimming right now, but I definitely felt like I could have swam at least closer to 10 minutes. I think that was definitely really within my potential. But anyways, so I had a pretty good transition onto the bike, and this was my first time riding my new bike that I had just gotten as a TT bike, and I've only had this bike for a little over a week before going into the race, and so given I hadn't had a ton of time to practice on it as compared to my other bike that I usually ride, but it was still one of my fastest bikes that I've ever had, but it's still obviously not good enough. It was a pretty windy day, but that's really no excuse because the top guys were riding just as fast as you can, and me going, I think I averaged to like 23.5 miles per hour for my bike. While it is a improvement, if you compare it to my Olympic distance times, it's not where it needs to be, and I think that's partly in response. Partly the issue there is that I'm just not that great on the bike. I'm a pretty good climber. I can climb really well. I make up some decent time on the climbs, but I just don't have the raw power that a lot of these guys are putting out, and so that is something that I need to address in my training, obviously, with the swimming. And yeah, so I headed out onto the run, and I think I'm probably I must be like 30 something place I started out really too quickly. I just sprinted out of the gates. I was a little frustrated, and I wanted to run really fast. And I think that if we look back at my some of my previous workouts that I've done, I think it was really indicative that I was going to be able to run a pretty fast 5K. You know, I think that I could have definitely have run maybe close to sub 16. So yeah, there was that, but obviously I didn't run a sub 16. I ran can't remember what I ran, but it was a 5:27 per mile pace, so not horrible, but not super great either by my standards. And I got ninth in my age group. I don't know if I got top 70 or top 60 overall. And I think I did finished in like about a 103.40 or something. 103.50 was my overall time. And now here's when I get to talk about all the things that didn't feel right, and maybe things that I can fix for next time. Immediately coming off of it, I felt really disappointed, and I felt pretty down. But you know, I try not to be down, put myself down when I don't race well, because it's kind of really pointless. And sometimes when you're super competitive, it's a pretty natural thing to do. That being said, this was the first triathlon that I actually put a lot of pressure on myself to perform well. All the triathlons that I've done before this, I never really put any pressure on myself. I really never had any expectations. But I'm starting to get to that point where I'm starting to have done this long enough, and it was also a pretty high profile race for me, that I'm starting to put pressure on myself to perform well at these races, like I used to when I ran track and when I ran cross country. And that is something that I'm going to have to take some time to think about and evaluate how I approach a race now. Because it used to be just something like fun, and I don't really have any expectations of myself for. So anyway, so that I had a lot of stress on me. It was my first time ever traveling, like flying to a race and staying up in a hotel. Especially flying was a big thing. I flew halfway across the country to race, and I didn't really have a great setup. I didn't really have a lot of the foods that I wanted. I probably didn't eat enough the day before and the day of the race. So those are a lot of things that I can learn for next time if I ever do something like this again. And I just didn't think, my legs just didn't feel super great on the bike, which is something I'm trying to figure out and address. So we'll just, yeah, that's kind of my analysis of age group nationals. It was, you know, I'm going to be super honest with you. It's not the most fun race I've ever done. I didn't have a super great time racing there. And I think that was because of my own mentality heading into it. So as for the future for me, I'm going to be hitting the pool a lot more aggressively, really focusing on my swim, and I'm going to be focusing a lot on bike, and I'm going to be doing very little amounts of running until I can get those things up to where they need to be. And honestly, my future in triathlon and in competitive sports like this is questionable, because I really did think about it for a second. You know, maybe I should just quit. Maybe I should just stop. But at the same time, you know, I've already invested a lot of time and money, and it's something that I do enjoy training a lot, and I do think that I at least have some natural gift in at least some of these sports and in some of these disciplines that I need to still see how good I can be. You know, I've only been racing for a year. I've been training for like 2 years. So that's pretty much like my first year of racing triathlons, and I've made a lot of improvement over that year, and I think I just need to get more races in, just to get more familiarized with it and get more just get in there. Get in there, get it. But that being said, that is my analysis of my age group triathlon experience. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I'm sorry that this video has taken some time to come out, but here we are, and I am more motivated to get back and get into some good training. So yeah.